करिए।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। Humble prostrations to one and all present here. So in the last class, so we are seeing the first chapter, second valli at present. So the discussion started with Shreyas and Prayas. Now throughout this valli we find Yamaraj appreciating the virtues of Nachiketa. Yamaraj says that even I did not have these virtues which I am seeing in you. This kind of vairagya. Even I did not have this kind of vairagya. Even I desired Swargaloka and its pleasures, and because of which I have become Yamaraj today. Arjuna, Nachiketa, for a student like you, Vivrutam Sadma Nachiketasam Manye. For you, the doorways to liberation is wide open. So now, Nachiketa is asking a question. He reframes the question with a greater clarity. And now what that question is, let us see. Verse number 14, page number 109. Anyadharmat, anyatradharmat, anyatrasmat krita kritat, anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha, yattat pashyasi tat vada. What is the question of Nachiketa? Anyatra dharmat, that which is different from dharma. Anyatra adharma, that which is different from adharma. Anyatra asmat kruta kruta, that which is different from kruta and akruta. So akruta means cause, kruta means effect. That which is different from cause and effect. Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha. Bhuta means past. Bhavya means present. That which is different from past and present. Yat tat pashyasi tad vada. What you are seeing, O Yamaraj, tad vada. You please tell us. So that which is different from dharma and adharma, that which is different from krita and akrita, and that which is different from bhuta and bhavya. Whatever you see, please tell us. Now, what does it mean? Now we have to understand this question. Hmm. So here dharma, adharma means punya pap. Hmm. So Nachiketa is saying, see what happens when you do punya. You go to punya loka, swarga loka, etc. And after the punya kshaya happens, martyalokam visha. Kshine punye martyalokam visha. So you do punya karma, then you go to swarga, again come back. And if you do papa karma, then you go to some narakadi lokas, again come back. So this punya papa, this goes on and on and on. There is no end to it. So karma, karma phala, karma, karma phala. You perform some action, as a result you go to different worlds, again come back. After the reserves are exhausted. There is no end to this cycle. Now see, all these terms, if you see, they are one and the same. So in this world, either you do punya karma or papa karma. That is represented by the term dharma adharma. Anyatra asmat krita akrita. Krita akrita means cause and effect. What is the cause? Karma is the cause, effect is karma phala. As a result of karma phala, you go to different worlds. So krita akrita. Cause and effect. Bhuta bhavya, past and future. In the past, you do some action. In the future, you go to some world. So actually speaking, all these three terms represent the same thing. Dharma, adharma, krita, akrita, and bhuta, bhavya. They are one and the same thing. So now Nachiketa's question is, this appears to be a non-ending infinite process. There is no end to it. You come back to this world, perform some action. As a result, you go to different world, again come back. Is there an end? That is the question. Or it's an infinite process. Can we put an end to this birth, death cycle? This is the question. So if we have to put an end to this birth, death cycle, then we will have to know something other than this, something other than punya papa, something other than cause effect, something other than past and future. So yat tat pashyasi. Pashyasi means that which you see, that which you experience. Tadvada. Oh Lord, please tell me that. Tell me that state, knowing which a person can become free from birth, death cycle. This is the question. So now the answer begins. So really speaking, Kathopanishad, real discussion on the main topic begins from this point. Now, verse number 15, page number 140. Sarve Veda yat padamamananti tapansi sarvani च यद् वदन्ति यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण ब्रवीमि ओमित्येतत्. सर्वे वेदा यत् padam amananti. That state. Anachiketa, you have asked for some state which is beyond birth, death, isn't it? Yes, there is a state. Sarve Veda yat padam amananti. In all the Vedas, that is the state which is glorified, which is mentioned. Tapamsi sarvani chayad vadanti. All the tapas, all the austerities are meant to reach that state. Yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti. Desiring that, the yogis practice brahmacharya, celibacy. Now here brahmacharya also has a general meaning. Charya means that which you regularly follow. For example, dinacharya, that which you do every day is called dinacharya. In the same way, brahmacharya means that which you regularly follow in order to reach Brahman is called brahmacharya. So all the disciplines will come under brahmacharya. It is not just celibacy. Moderate eating will come under brahmacharya. Moderate talking will come under brahmacharya. And all the other activities in life, everything in moderation, that will all be called brahmacharya. So in that sense, we have to take all the disciplines that we follow in order to reach that ultimate truth of Brahman will be coming under brahmacharya. Yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti, desiring which the yogis practice brahmacharya. Tatte padam sangrahena bravini. Sangrahena, in a very, in brief, that state, let me tell you. And what is that state? Om iti etat. That state is Om. That one letter, Om. So that ultimate state, which the Vedas glorify, that ultimate state for which all the yogis do great tapas, that state for which one practice brahmacharya, that state, its name in the Vedas, it is Om. Next verse, more. In fact, the whole discussion in Kathopanishad now is regarding Om, what that Om is. So next verse, verse number 16, page number 117. Etadhyevaksharam brahma, etadhyevaksharam param, etadhyevaksharam nyatva, yo yadichhati tasya tat. Etat aksharam eva brahma. This one letter Om, aksharam, that itself is Brahman. Here Brahma means Saguna Brahma. Etadhyevaksharam Brahma, etadhyevaksharam param. This aksharam, this letter, this Om itself is param, supreme. Here supreme means Nirguna Brahma. So this Om itself is Saguna Brahma. This Om itself is Nirguna Brahma. Etat aksharam eva jnatva. Knowing this one letter, yaha yat ichhati tasya tat. Whatever one desires, he will get it. So this aksharam itself is Saguna Brahma. This aksharam itself is Nirguna Brahma. And the one who knows it, he gains everything, whatever he desires. Next verse number 17, page number 124. Etadalambanam sreshtham, etadalambanam param, etadalambanam nyatva, brahmaloke mahiyate. Etadalambanam sreshtham. This is a sreshth alambanam. Alambanam means support. This is the best support. Etadalambanam param. This is the greatest support. Param alambanam, sreshtam alambanam. This is the one. Etadalambanam nyatva. Knowing this support, brahmaloke mahiyate. A person revels in brahmaloka. Now, brahmaloka can have two meanings. One meaning is it can be the world of Brahmaji. The Satyaloka is called brahmaloka. Bhuhu, Bhuaha, Suaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam, the highest world, the world of Brahmaji. One meaning is that Brahmaloka, the highest world. Another meaning is Brahmaloka means the world of Brahman, means the ultimate truth or liberation. So, the one who knows this great support, the best support, the ultimate support, he can attain anything. He can attain the highest worlds with all siddhi, supernatural powers, etc. He can use this Om in order to gain all siddhis and riddhis and go into higher worlds, experiencing all supernatural powers, or the very same Ahalambanam can be used in order to attain. Right. Now, the discussion is regarding this Om, what this Om is. So, first, benefits are mentioned, and now the discussion will start. So, here we have to keep one thing. This Nama Japa, this concept of Nama Japa, if we ask, where in the Vedas, where in the Upanishads do we find this concept of Nama Japa, then this is the place. So in those times, Rama, Krishna, etc. were not there. So in those times, in the Vedic times, the term they used or the name of the Lord they used for doing japa, etc. is Om. So this we have to understand. Now we have so many mantras, but in those times, this was the mantra used for chanting. So Om. So if this question is asked regarding Nama Japa, where is the reference in the Upanishads? So then we can use these verses. Right. Now this Om is nothing but the self in us. That is the description which we are going to see now. Verse number 18, page number 125. न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चित् नायं कुतश्चित् न बभूव कश्चित् अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Now a similar verse you will find in Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. In the second chapter, verse number 20 is very, very similar to this verse. So we'll have to say Bhagavad Gita has taken this verse directly from Kathopanishad. What is the verse in Bhagavad Gita? So that verse is like this. Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranah na hanyate hanyamani sharire. This is verse number 20, chapter number 2. So this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan has directly taken from Kathopanishad. There are so many similarity you will find. Bhagavad Gita and Kathopanishad. The entire concept of this chariot example, you will find it is taken from Kathopanishad. There's a description of this chariot. So, what does this verse say? Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit. So this vipaschit means the intelligent, all-knowing self. Now the description is about the self in us, the consciousness in us. This consciousness is called vipaschit, all-knowing. Vipaschit, a sentient being, not inert, but sentient, all-knowing, of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of awareness. What is his nature? Na jayate, na mriyate. Na jayate, it is not born. Na mriyate, it never dies. So the property of the self in us, the pure I in us, the consciousness in us, property of this I, this consciousness, is very different from the property of the body. Body has birth, body has death. But what about the consciousness in us? Na jayate, na mriyate. Remember, this is the question asked by Nachiketa. Is there anything in us? In fact, if you remember the first question of Nachiketa in the initial stage as a third boon, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti teke nayam asti chaike. There is a doubt, O Lord, regarding a dead person. Is he there or is he not there? After death, does he survive? So this was the question. So now that question and the second question, Anyatra dharmad, anyatra dharmad, anyatrasmat krita krita. So both the questions are basically the same question. Is there something other than this physical body? Is there something other than karma and karma phala? So the question is the same. So now that particular question is answered. Nachiketa, yes, there is a state which is beyond karma and karma phala. There is a state which is beyond this gross, subtle, and causal bodies. There is a particular state. What is that state? That consciousness is that state. So the description of that consciousness is being mentioned. So what is the benefit of gaining that state? The benefit is one can become free from birth, death, cycle. So the benefit is first glorified. Now the ultimate state is described. So what is the state? Na jayate, na mriyate. There is no birth, there is no death for this consciousness. And what is its nature? Na kutaschit. It did not come from anything. This consciousness is not the effect of something. It is not born from something. Na kutaschit. Na babhuva kaschit. And it does not give birth to anything. Nothing comes out of it, meaning it doesn't become the cause. So this consciousness is neither the cause of anything, nor is it the effect of anything. It is neither the cause nor the effect. Now, if you see this body is the effect of our past actions. And now this body becomes a cause of our future actions. All the actions we do with this body. So this body has a past, this body will have a future. This body is born out of our past actions, and this body becomes the source of future actions. What about this consciousness? It is free from cause and effect. Na kutaschit, na babhuva kaschit. Then what is its nature? Ajaha. It is birthless. Nityaha. It is eternal. Shashvatah. It is undecaying. Now, if you see this Nityaha and Shashvataha, these two terms appear to be the same. Nitya also means eternal. Shashvata also is translated as eternal. Now a question may come, why these two terms are used with the same meaning? So here we have to understand, when we say something is Nitya, there are two types of Nitya. Nitya means eternal. In our scriptures, two types of Nitya they are described. What are the two types of Nitya? One is Parinami Nitya, the other is Kutastha Nitya. Eternity can be of two types. Something can be eternal in two different ways. What are the two different ways? One is parinami. Parinama means change. Changingly eternal. This is one. The second is unchangingly eternal. What does that mean? Changingly eternal. Can you give an example? Yes, a flowing river. It may be a perennial river. It is flowing all through the year. It is there. Eternally it is there. But is it changingly eternal or unchangingly eternal? So we say it is changingly eternal because water is continuously changing. Though we say river is there, but change is happening. In this world, whatever we see as eternal, everything is actually changingly eternal only. The sun is seen there. Millions and billions of years that sun is there. But is it changingly there or unchangingly there? It is changingly there. A lot of changes are happening there. A lot of gases are burned every moment. In the same way, this body, is it there? It is there for 60, 70 years. Is it changingly there or unchangingly there? We say it is changingly there. So they are all parinami nityatvam in that span of their existence. So in order to indicate that there is no change even in its eternity, that term is used as shashvata. Hmm. It is eternal, nitya, no doubt, but it is shashvata also. Shashvata means non-decaying. That is why these two terms are used. So it is unchangingly eternal. It is kutastha nitya. So nityah, shashvatah, and then purana. Purana means what? Pura api navaha. Very ancient. So though it is very, very ancient, ancient means what? Literally beginningless. Though it is beginningless, it is ever nutanaha, navaha, fresh, as though it is absolutely new. Right? Purana. Na hanyate, hanyamane sharire. Hanyamane sharire. Even when this body is killed, na hanyate, it cannot be killed. It doesn't die. It doesn't perish. So there is something in this body which is there in this body, but its properties are very much different from the body. Body has a birth, body has death, but this consciousness in us has no birth, has no death. Body constantly modifies itself, changes, it has decay. But as far as this consciousness is concerned, there is no modification at all. Even when the body is killed, this consciousness has no death. And what is the nature of this consciousness? It is neither the effect nor the cause. So, Nachiketa, your question is valid. Yes, there is something. And what is it? It is a very consciousness, as it is a very selfness. So, whenever we see such description here, let us not think of that state or that entity as something different. Remember, it is the I in us which is being described. This we should never forget. So whatever the glories are seen here, whose glory it is? It is my own glory, the glory of my higher self. This way you have to read the scriptures. Just like when you see a mirror, what do you see there in the mirror? You don't see the company of the mirror, the make of the mirror. No, you look at yourself, isn't it? In the same way, all the scriptures are like mirrors. They are talking about ourselves, our true nature. So whenever such terms are encountered, whenever we see such terms in the scriptures, always the background thought should be, oh, this is the real me. This is the real me, not this physical me. There is a real me behind this physical me. And that is what is being described. So this way we have to read the scriptures. Yes. So a little more detail is given in the next verse, verse number 19, page number 129. हन्ता चेन्मन्यते हन्तुम् हतश्चेन्मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. हन्ता हन्तुं मन्यते चेत्. Hanta, the killer, the one who is killing the body in the battlefield, etc. Hanta, if the killer thinks, what does he think? That he is killing it, Hantum. So the killer thinks that I am going to kill this person. If he thinks so, he is wrong. Or Hataha, Hatam manyate chet, the one who is dying, somebody is killing and this person is feeling that I am going to die. If the killed thinks that he is getting killed, even he is wrong. Tau ubhau navijanitah. Both of them, they don't know the reality. So the killer is thinking that he is going to kill that person. And the person who is dying, he thinks that, yes, I am going to die. The scripture says, Tau ubhau navijanitah. Both of them don't know the reality. What is the reality? Na ayam hanti na hanyate. Neither does this self kill anyone, nor does it get killed. It neither kills nor it gets killed. It is neither karta nor bhokta. It is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. Then what is the reality? It is akarta abhokta, non-doer, non-enjoyer. This is the reality. Right. Now see, whenever we do something, deep down we know that I did it. You see, but the fact is, the pure self or consciousness, if you're abiding in consciousness and doing it, you clearly know that you are not the doer. Actions are happening in your presence. This is the truth. You, the pure consciousness, don't do anything. In your presence, things are happening. That concept of akarta abhokta is mentioned here. Now, this is a very important concept in the scriptures, the concept of akarta abhokta. Consciousness in its presence, it just lends sentiency to the body, the inert body, the inert mind. It doesn't do anything. The actions are done by the body, mind, intellect, but consciousness doesn't do anything. It is just merely present. There is no action taking place. Consciousness is always in a state of being, not in a state of doing. That is what is being said here. Na ayam hanti na hanyate. This is a little subtler one. It's a concept which is little subtle. Mm. To explain this, lot of examples are given. That state of being, it appears as though some action is happening, but actually there is no action happening. There is only a state of being that is happening. And the best example which we find in the scripture is that fire cooking food. So we find that the food is being cooked by fire. So if somebody goes and asks the fire, oh fire, are you cooking the food? Are you doing this action of cooking the food? Because without you, food cannot be cooked. We clearly see that in your presence, food is being cooked. So therefore, you are performing the action of cooking the food. Are you not doing this? If you ask fire, what will fire say? The fire will say, I am not doing anything. I am in a state of my being. I am not doing anything. I'm just, I'm just there. Right. So that state is what consciousness is. It is just there. In its presence, things are happening. In the same way, if you ask a mirror, oh mirror, are you doing the action of reflection? Are you not reflecting things? Are you not putting forth effort in doing it? Remember, in a state of being, there is no effort. That is the difference between doing and being. In doing, there is effort. In being, there is no effort. In being, you are in your own natural state. In doing, you are doing something. Whenever there is a doing involved, there is a choice involved. You may do, you may not do. That choice is there. You may walk, you may not walk. You may lie down, you may not lie down. In doing, always a choice is present. Whereas in being, there is no choice. As far as the fire is concerned, there is no choice whether to heat or not to heat. No, always that heat is. In a mirror, there is no choice given whether to reflect or not to reflect. No. So, such actions where there is no choice involved and there is no effort involved, that is called remaining in a state of being. So, this consciousness, it enlivens the body, it enlivens the mind, it enlivens all the inert aspects, but is it doing anything while making the body sentient, alive? No, it is just in its state of being. Body is performing so many actions, mind is performing so many, entertaining so many thoughts. What is consciousness doing? It doesn't do anything. It is just in its state of being. And remember, this consciousness is our true nature. So now, what is the benefit of knowing this? If you can abide in consciousness while performing all actions in the world, what will happen to you? You will remain akarta. The actions performed by your body and the mind is no more your action. And since it is no more your action, the results of those actions also will not come. This is the way you can escape from all karma and karma phalas. And another great benefit is because you are abiding in consciousness and the nature of consciousness is Ananda Sarupa, you will find that you are able to turn over lot of actions without any frustration, without any anxiety, without any worry, absolutely peaceful. You are able to perform all actions because actions are happening at the body level, mind level. I am a mere witness of all these actions performed through all these instruments. I am just a mere witness. The greatest benefit of this knowledge is your mind remains absolutely peaceful, even when actions are happening in the outer world. Rooted in your center, you perform all your actions beautifully well. Because your mind is at peace, you are able to turn over great actions, perfect actions. more and more the mind is at peace, the more and more your actions gain a greater perfection. Greater the peace of mind, greater is the quality of the action which you do. So this technique of performing action, remaining at peace with yourself is being mentioned. It is possible. These are all the benefits of spiritual knowledge. You don't have to run away from the world of activity. Just imagine the whole of Bhagavad Gita was given in the battlefield. Spirituality never asks you to run away from the battlefield of your life. It never asks you to go to some Himalayan caves and meditate. No, remain in the world, perform all your duties, responsibilities. But there is a way of performing those actions. How to perform those actions? Abide in the center in you, and then let the external instruments of yours perform all duties. Yes. So that's why Puja Gurudev is a very famous quote. It says, Vedanta is not freedom from action, it is freedom in action. Even while action is happening, you should be free. That is real freedom. Freedom is not running away from the field of activity. True freedom is you are remaining in the field of activity, and at the same time, you are untouched by these activities, by this action. That is true freedom. And this is possible only when we understand this great spiritual truth that I am pure consciousness, which has nothing to do with the body. It has nothing to do with the actions of these instruments, mind, body, mind, etc. I am that witness which is just witnessing these instruments, witnessing the activities of these instruments. This gives you the greatest strength. Right? So this consciousness is akarta and abhokta, non-doer, non-enjoyer. More description about this consciousness comes in the next verse, verse number 20, page number 130. Anuraniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya jantor nihito guhayam तमक्रतुः पश्यति वीतशोकः धातुप्रसादात् महिमानमात्मनः. Yes. Anuraniyan. Anoho aniyan. The self in us is anoho aniyan, subtler than the subtlest. Mahato mahiyan, at the same time, greater than the greatest. Atma asya jantoho guhayam nihitah. This self, asya jantoho guhayam nihitah. It is there in the guha of each and every being. Guha means the heart cave. It is present. It is there in every one of us. This self, this Atma, this consciousness, it is there shining in the hearts of all. Now, why is it called subtler than the subtlest? We have discussed this before also. That which has more properties will be easily grasped by the senses. So the grossest thing is earth, Prithvi, because it has Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The subtler than earth is water. Gandha is not there, only 4 properties. So as the properties decrease, that thing becomes subtler and subtler. So subtler than earth is water, subtler than water is fire, subtler than fire is air, subtler than air is space, subtler than space is the mind, and even subtler than the mind is consciousness, which is support. So that is why it is said, Anoho Aniyan, subtler than the subtlest. At the same time, it is Mahato Mahi and greater than the greatest. Why? Because the whole world is supported in consciousness. The world is existing in the mind is existing in consciousness. So, where is the world existing? The infinite world is existing in consciousness. So, therefore, it is Mahato Mahiyan, greater than the greatest. So, the glory of consciousness is being described here. This Atma, this self, this consciousness. Jantoho guhayam nihitaha. It is there in the guha, hridaya guha. This term guha is also very interesting. You see, if you want to see something inside the cave, from remaining outside the cave, you will not be able to see. You have to enter into the cave and slowly allow the eyes to get adjusted to the darkness in the cave. And then slowly you become aware of what is present inside, isn't it? Unless you enter into the cave, you will not know what is there. In the same way, unless you withdraw your mind and the senses from the world and enter into the cave of your heart, you will not know what is there. It will not be seen. It will remain hidden. Hmm. Right. So how to see it? The technique is given here. Tam akratuhu pashyati. Akratuhu pashyati. How? Dhatu prasada. So what is the qualification to experience this self, know this self? So one qualification answer is you must be akratuhu. What is akratuhu means? So Bhagavan Shankaracharya says akamaha viraktaha, a desireless, dispassionate person. So one of the qualifications necessary to experience the self is the mind should be free from all kinds of worldly desires. A desireless mind is a pure mind. Hmm. Dhatu prasadat, through the purity and tranquility of the mind and the senses. So here dhatu means sharirasya dharana dhatu. That which supports the body is called dhatu. What are they? The mind and the senses. It is through the mind and the senses that we support the body. So dhatu prasada means the purity of the mind. So when the mind is pure, and what do you mean by pure mind? A mind which is free from desires, it is a pure mind. In such a pure mind, tam atmanam mahimanam pashyati, he sees the glory of that self. With such a mind, when you inquire into the self, you come to know the nature of the self. You come to know the glory of the self. And then what happens to that person? Vita shoka bhavati. He becomes free from all kinds of shoka, sorrow. He comes to know that, I am not this body, I am this consciousness, and this consciousness is Ananda Sarupa. It has no birth, it has no death. So therefore, even when the body dies, I have no problem because I, the pure consciousness, has no death, it has no decay. So such a person becomes free from all kinds of sorrow. The greatest sorrow is the sorrow of death. The greatest fear is the fear of death. Even that sorrow, that fear also, he overcomes, he transcends. This is the glory of this self. What is the qualification? The qualification is you must have a pure mind. What is the sign of a pure mind? A mind which is free from all kinds of worldly desires. Such a mind is a pure mind. And such a mind is a fit instrument to enter into this guha, hridaya guha, and experience the glory of the self. More of it, see in the next class. So now if you have questions, you are most
Swamiji, I have a question.
welcome.
How can this concept of consciousness and becoming akarta help? Suppose if there is a person who is running business and has lot of debt, उसको वो अपना कर्जा चुकाना है, then how can this concept help?
See, it is something like this. A person who is abiding in consciousness, He knows that he is just playing a role in the world. Just like a drama, you know. In the drama, you have a role. But while playing the role, you know that you are not the role. There is a script involved. You have to act according to the role. So you know that you are different from the role. And you are ready to take any role because that role has nothing to do with you. So if I am asked to become a beggar, I will happily become a beggar there because I know I am not a beggar. I have to just act. Maybe in the drama I will have to die. Happily, beautifully I will die. Why? Because I know there is no death. Yes or no?
Yes.
When I know that I am not this person, I am a very different entity, very different from the role which I am playing in the world. Then what happens is this joys and sorrow of that role doesn't affect me. Now, if let us take this example of this Karja and all that businessman, he will do whatever has to be done, and he also knows the bigger picture that there is a Lord who is taking care of all of us. There is a Lord who is doing everything through these instruments. You know, God is playing His drama, so holding on to Him. So this consciousness, etc., means God in the language of devotion. So there is a Lord who is feeding everyone. There is a Lord who is giving the ability and talents to everyone to fulfill their responsibilities. So whatever responsibilities are in front, they are the responsibilities and duties given by the Lord. Now, since the Lord has given me this duty, He will also empower me to fulfill my duty. You see? So God is giving me duty. God has given me instruments. God has given me the abilities and talents to fulfill my duty. So when God is doing everything, why should I fear? Understood? So if there is a karja, he will find ways to clear the karja also. Isn't it? He has created a situation. He will only tell me how to go through the situation, fulfilling all my duties. So this way, he becomes free from all kinds of worries and anxieties. So see, in the language of knowledge, we will use the term consciousness. In the language of devotion, we will use the term God. Both are one and the same.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Swamiji, may I?
Ah,
Pranam, Swamiji. We use this word soul. So when we are now bringing an understanding to the larger presence, which is very subtle, the innermost part of me, consciousness, and the outer everything, which is again consciousness. What is the soul? We tend to use the word soul a lot, of course, also in the work that we are doing with past life regression, because the soul is coming out of the body, and then the soul is going into another body. So that's the way of understanding and even explaining. How, where does that fit in? What's the soul?
see, soul means I. You know, Atma, when we say. What is the actual meaning of Atma? Atma means I. Now, I will have two types of I. One is a lower I, the other is a higher I. The lower I is consciousness identified with the body. It is called a Jivatma. When consciousness identifies with the body, there is a lower I. Pure consciousness without identification is the higher I. So in me itself, there is a lower I and there is a higher I. The lower I, we all know. Generally, when we say I, it is a lower I. But there is a consciousness which is just witnessing. It is not identifying. That is a higher I. All the description is about the higher I. So the scripture is saying that don't think that you are the lower I. There is a higher I in you. So function in the world by holding on to the higher I in you, which is imperishable. It has nothing to do with the body, which is Ananda Swarupa. All our misery is because we know only the lower I. We are not aware of the higher I. The scripture is asking us to hold on to the higher, the imperishable in you, the permanent in you, and play in the realms of the impermanent. Just like in the drama, you have to hold on to your identity and then play your role. Then there is absolutely no problem. Understood? In this drama also there is two I, isn't it? The one I is the role you play. The other I is the real I. Two I's are there. Why is it that you are able to play all the roles beautifully well? Because you know you are not the lower I. The same thing happens here also.
It was very deep. Thank you, Swamiji. I mean, I'm. There are more questions coming up, but I'll hold on to them for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anji Manisha, go ahead.
Pranam Swamiji.
Ah.
So this is actually more disturbing than convincing. And this I say so because everything that is happening in the world today, all that is, all the killing, the lynching, the fighting, the anger, should I then be complacent, be okay with what is happening? Should I not be standing or voicing out because I say I am just playing a part, so I should just just probably be an onlooker and be done, be gone with it, because I just practice the beingness and not the doing. How then do I understand? Because I everything around in the current times is, I mean, everything is like a big word, but yeah, many things around that are happening are disturbing. So should I then be okay with what is happening and sit back and say, ठीक है, भगवान कर रहे हैं, करा रहे हैं, मैं इसमें involved नहीं हूँ, तो मैं बैठ के देख सकती हूँ? Is that what it is?
See, all of us, we have been given a limited power.
Yes.
So if you can solve a particular situation, remove the sorrow of a person who is in front of you, right? If that ability is given to you, and if you are in that situation, then you must remove the sorrow of that person. Say, for example, you are a doctor and somebody is suffering in front of you, and you know what that person is suffering from. Then it is your responsibility to do it. Otherwise, there is a guilt feeling. Remember that guilt feeling is also sent by God only. But as far as so many other problems in the society are concerned, where you are absolutely no control, there you must practice cheerful acceptance of choiceless situation. Because whatever God is doing is perfect. It cannot be wrong. Because He's doing everything out of infinite knowledge. My knowledge is limited. Okay. So whatever is happening in this world is perfect. But if there is something which I can do, then I must do. Only then there is peace of mind. Otherwise, there is guilt feeling. You will not enjoy that state. And even when you are doing it, understand that it is the Lord who is getting things done through you. Don't say that I did it. If you can do this, then you will find that there is peace. That's all we need to do.
So if I may be allowed a little more time. With that said, so if I am reacting to a situation, not to make things worse, but with an attempt to making or helping in offering some clarity to a situation, which at the end of it, when I do so, and I do so not putting my point forward to say, okay, I am right, but to a larger audience, what I feel is the right. I mean, sometimes the right you may not agree with, yet that right is right. Okay. Yeah, I know it's a little complicated. As usual, I've gone that track yet again. However, so it's okay that I react or I respond in a way which is assistive in getting people to feel better, making things better. That's okay. So then I do not sit back and say, "Baki theek hai, dunya mein ho raha hai to ho raha hai, I don't care." That attitude is not what we're talking about. We're just saying that whatever you do, if that gives you peace and creates peace around, that's what God is asking or getting me to do. Is that what it should be?
Yes. After doing that, are you peaceful? Is the question.
actions we do is all about karma, and karma comes back, because we believe in that. And you also started with this today's session saying that it's all about whatever karmas we have done in the past. So when we are saying that okay, everything is being done by God, then how is my future life decided? Because if that is all done by God, then where does karma come into place here?
Amma, can you switch on the video?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, God is our friend. Every time you do the right or wrong thing, He will guide you from within. When you're going to do something wrong, He will warn you from within. You can clearly feel that agitation of the mind as you're thinking something bad, immoral, illegal, etc. You will immediately find the mind is disturbed. That disturbance is an indication from the Lord that don't do it. He can only warn us. He will not stop us, because He has given total freedom to us to do what we want to do. After His warning, in spite of that, when we do, then that action become our action. Okay. It is as though I am totally disregarding the warning given by Him, and I said, no, I don't want your advice. I want to do what I want to do. Then that becomes your karma. Then you cannot say that God did it. It is your action. You can't blame God for that. Understood?
So then we become the doer, then we are not in that state of being anymore.
Remember,
So now,
which
yeah.
doer? The lower self is the doer, not the higher self. The higher self is absolutely not doing anything.
Right.
It is exactly like when the car hits a tree as an accident, you can't blame the petrol. You can't say that, oh, petrol, because of you, car was moving, and therefore you are responsible for this accident. You can't. Petrol allows the car to move, but where the car should move, the driver decides. So the accident is caused by the driver, not the petrol. Consciousness is something like the petrol. In its presence, body is active. In its presence, mind, intellect, etc. is active. It doesn't do anything.
That was so beautifully explained. I was actually thinking about it, then where does karma come into action? But thank you so much for giving us such a beautiful explanation. Thank you so much.
Rahul, go ahead.
Hariom Swamiji, I had a question. Is it that the mistake that we are doing is that we are constantly consciously superimposing the role of the lower I onto the higher I?
What is that?
That
What is the question?
we are always superimposing the role of the lower I onto the higher I. Is that the mistake that we do?
We forget the higher I, and when we get totally caught up in the lower I, that is a mistake we do.
Okay. And it is just
Conscious.
the way that we can just reorient our way of seeing things, and then things will be sorted out. Is that how it will work?
Never forget the higher reality in you. We get so caught up in our little likes and dislikes. We get so caught up in the lower I, our selfish thinking, immoral thinking, ego, that we totally forget that there is a presence behind me, a witness in me, which is upholding me, supporting me. It is not seen as an object, it is a subject. But in our daily transaction, we totally forget that there is an entity which is supporting the whole world and which is the real self. The moment you forget God, that means you are totally tied up with the lower self. And when the lower self becomes the ruler in you, we tend to do all kinds of wrong things.
योगी जी, आपका टर्न है. आप प्लीज पूछिए क्वेश्चन स्वामी जी.
Swamiji, Dandavat prostrations to you first of all.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
And my question is very simple, Guruji. When will we get to see you and place my humble head on your feet? When will you come back? Are you coming back?
Let the Lord decide. Bhagavan has to decide.
Please keep us in your prayers.
Sure, sure. Pranam.
Okay, thank you everybody for asking always intelligent and wonderful questions, which increases our knowledge, because then Swamiji is forced to answer these questions and gives us more food for thought. So I hope everybody's has finished asking questions.
Swamiji, I have a question.
Okay, last one. Chaliye.
Yeah, Pranam Swamiji. Sorry. Yeah.
Namaste, please.
Yeah, Pranam Swamiji. According to the law of cause and effect, if a man kills a python, he will suffer the consequences. But what if a python kills a man? Will it suffer the consequences?
No. Because there is no freedom there. See, the consequence comes to a person who has a choice. Wherever there is choice, there you will have to suffer the consequence, As far as a human being is concerned, he may do something, he need not do that. Choice, he is not fully programmed like animals. Animals are totally programmed. They have no choice. Wherever there is no choice, those actions are as though, you are helpless to do that action. Then that action doesn't belong to you. Wherever there is helplessness in doing action, then that action is not yours.
Okay.
As far as animals are concerned, they don't have a choice. A cow has to eat grass. A tiger has to eat flesh. There is no choice there. It is pre-programmed. As though Bhagavan wanted them to be that way only.
Mm.
So in such a situation, then you are not bound by those actions. Whereas human beings have a choice. For example, as far as this killing the python is concerned, there are so many ways in which he can do so many things by saving the python. As a python, can catch that python and put it in some, forest or something. There are so many options are there. Whereas a python has no option. And even that killing is done only to, for hunger. I hope I'm clear.
So it's the same thing people also say, right? I like chicken. I will eat chicken. I mean, they
No,
have.
you have a choice. No. You cannot say I like chicken, therefore no. You have a choice. You have vegetarian, you can have vegetarian food also.
That's right.
If you have no choice, suppose there is a situation where only chicken can keep you alive, then fine, it becomes your dharma, it is not a dharma. You understand? That is not our case. We have all options available.
Okay.
So then Swamiji, suppose there are cases where a flight crashes in the mountains, in the snow-clad mountains, and you have to survive.
Yes.
There are cases where they have eaten their fellow beings because there was nothing else. There was no way that they could survive. So then what would you say?
Fellow beings, alive fellow beings or dead fellow beings?
Dead, obviously.
Then that is dharma only. It is not a dharma.
Right. Because there is no choice.
There is no choice. To keep yourself alive is your greatest dharma.
Right.
So killing the living beings which are at a lower evolution.
Correct. Right.
There is absolutely nothing wrong in it.
Right. So that means people who live in the Arctic Ocean, I mean, in the Arctic area, okay,
Yes.
where vegetables don't grow.
Yes.
And they eat seals and walrus and, animals, right? So that is dharma?
Yes, that is dharma.
So that's a very important understanding, especially for those of us who propagate only vegetarianism. Ye important understanding hai that it's not that kind of geographical situations and reasons are there why people eat what they eat. So ye important hai samajhna hum sabke liye. Nidhi, you want to ask one more question?
Thank
but
you so much. Thank
go
you.
ahead.
मैम ये तो तब भी समझ में आता ना जब आप जैसे हमने रामायण में भी इंस्टेंसेस हैं वेयर रामचंद्र जी हैड टू किल an animal for food and they prayed to that animal seeking forgiveness saying that this is not for fun that we are killing you, we're killing you just to feed our nourish ourselves. So I think that is also an angle of dharma.
Yes.
Swamiji, my question is when we say human beings have an element of choice, so is it also that by virtue of that element of choice, a human being after death chooses to become and be born as an animal?
Yes.
What will those circumstances be?
See, in Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, Bhagavan says it. Shipami ajasrama shubhana asuruseva yonish. Those people who live in arrogance, greed, and behave in an animalistic way. See, you are given a human body, but if the choice is such that you are behaving in an animalistic way, with total sensuality and immorality and all that thing, then that means what? You are not justifying the human gift given to you, the body, the human body, which is a gift. So if you are still interested in the lower, then Bhagavan says, fine, then you can go to the lower. So I must justify the position given to me, A human body is given, choice is given, I can always choose the best. But if I am always choosing the lower one, then that means I am not fit to go to the higher. I deserve the lower only. Violence is there, killing is there, cruelty is there. Now, this is animal world. A lot of cruelty is there. All kinds of things happen there. If this is what you relish, then Bhagavan say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have given you this. You better go to the other one and get purified yourself in the lower, then come to the higher. So yes, we can misuse our choice also.
So these then can be evolved human beings who have fallen to that level where they've had to be born as an animal.
Yes.
Monica, go ahead. Now only one more, okay? You've taken a lot of time of Swamiji today.
Thank you for
It's
giving
okay.
me time. Pranam Swamiji. Something wrong with my video, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Swamiji, a question that is asked, I think a question that many will ask, then what is destiny? If destiny is, if we are controlled by destiny, like the confusion always remains between destiny and free will. If God has already decided our life, so it's like somebody who's a sinner all the time and committing sins, does he also consider his free will? Does he have a free will, or he's destined to perform sins?
No, nobody is destined to perform sins. See, as I told you earlier, the moment you are going to do a sin, there is a warning from within. Yes or no?
So maybe Swamiji, but a person who's continuously doing sins, usko warning hai ki nahi hai? I don't know.
Absolutely, yes. There is nobody in this world who doesn't get that warning. Only thing is, you can disregard that warning. You can ignore that warning. But there is nobody in the world who will not have warning. You
So maybe
see your own.
Maybe a sinner is just more identifying with the lower I and completely not.
Okay, when you are doing a sin, is the mind getting agitated or not? Definitely yes.
It is. My mind gets agitated, but I wonder if somebody else's gets agitated.
No, don't talk about somebody else. You talk about yourself. Because somebody else, what is happening there, we don't know. But in me, what is happening, I know, isn't it?
I know. Yes.
So the Lord in us is guiding every moment. If
So
you really
free will is there. Means Swamiji, in a nutshell, free will is there. Right.
See, if you are identified with the lower self, then there is free will.
Yes. Maybe some more discussion later on, Swamiji.
See, if you are identified with consciousness, then you very clearly know that, everything is happening by the grace of God. But to the extent you are identified with the lower self, to that extent, there is something called free will, because you are accepting the existence of ego. Now, please understand, the question of whether free will is there or not depends on what is your understanding about ego. If you say there is ego, I am there, separate from God, then free will also exists. If you say no, ego is an illusion, there is only God, then there is no free will. Remember, free will and ego, they go together. In great Mahatmas, ego is absolutely not there. Therefore, free will is also not there. He says everything happens by the grace of God. That is the state of Mahatmas. But what is our state? Ego is very strongly there. So therefore, don't say that God is doing everything. Let me accept responsibility for my action. To the extent ego is strong, to that extent we will have to accept free will. This is the. So in a
Nice.
sinner, he is at a very low level. So therefore, he must not say God is doing everything. Instead, he should say, I alone am the decider of my destiny.
So, Swamiji, evolution of life, evolution of a soul is basically identifying with the higher I and leaving the lower I. And going to the
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. I think it was a very interesting and relevant question. Ego and free will, I think it requires an entire class to
Yes.
understand these. These are very difficult concepts to grasp also. So I'm sure
Yes.
Swamiji will help us as we proceed in Kathopanishad, because the Upanishad itself speaks about death and destiny and so many things which we are asking questions about. We'll take the last question from you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Pranam Swamiji. Swamiji, in continuation to the last question, so when we believe in cause and effect and based on that the karma, now suppose if somebody has really given a lot of trouble to someone in a previous life, and now in this life, the other one is now kind of doing the reverse to the other one. So that victim perpetrator is kind of reversed. My question is, so when a person is doing something because he has felt it in a in the reverse in the previous life, is he a sinner? Like for example,
that means if a person is retaliating, will that be a sin? Is that the question?
The question is, suppose there is domestic violence happening. Okay, husband is kind of abusing the wife. Now, when we do the past life regression, we see that the role was reversed. So now they are doing this. Now, so how do we tackle this?
How do we tackle is this?
As a therapist, as a person, yeah. I mean, in both the sense. Yeah.
What do you do normally as a therapist?
Don't ask that question. I mean, so basically, we just kind of guide that person to feel whatever happened in the past life, and then see that okay, so if the person is a victim, like if the person is a wife right now, so then that person is kind of experiencing what happened in the past, and then so the suffering, the level of suffering decreases, because now I don't feel that I am the only one who is the victim. I have done that in my past, and so there is praschatap, and then okay, that life is over. But even after that, if the husband continues to be violent, then what is it that is my confusion actually.
Okay, so I want to add something what Uvi is not saying. So Swamiji, during the past life session, when a person experiences this victim, she's been a victim and a persecutor. Now she's a persecutor and a victim, that entire cycle. So the person understands the karmic cycle in which she has been caught. Now she has a choice. Either she can continue to suffer or she can step out of suffering. So this is where free will is applied.
Yes.
So tell the person, now you have a choice, because now you've understood the drama. Now that the drama has been understood by you, you can exercise a choice. Maybe there was a time when you could not exercise choice because you didn't understand the drama. Now that you understand the drama, you have a choice. You can step away. So if you step away, then you're exercising your free will. If you continue to be in that drama, you're not exercising your free will. You are continuing to suffer. That's all. So you have a choice. So choice is something that we emphasize. Then, of course, we leave the consequence or the result of what they want to do to them. Because obviously, we are not going to choose for them. So this is exactly what we tell them.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
So we are right.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Of
So
course.
so the key is, Swamiji, that in past life therapy, when the person experiences a memory which the person has forgotten, that memory, when it comes up, it will come up with feelings, emotions, thoughts, action. So many things will come up, right? The person develops, first, the person becomes aware. Second, the person develops insight into, did they contribute to the situation in any way? So they understand what they have contributed to making the situation repetitive. And then we tell them, now you decide on a choice. So that is when they create a choice. There are people who continue to be in the marriage. And interestingly, Swamiji, when they create insight, somehow the cycle changes.
Correct.
Person who was the persecutor ceases to be a persecutor.
Exactly.
This can also happen. So there are so many different, probabilities. So that is how choice can be created. Now, if there is no option, you can't have choice.
Yes.
Because there are so many different probabilities that the mind will throw up, then free will can be exercised in an intellect manner. The intellect can come into play. You can distinguish, what you did and now what you can do. So that power comes back to you, Swamiji. The power that was lost returns to you. And that is how choice can be created and free will can be exercised. This is how we understand.
Perfect.
Ma'am, my only question is that, like
One
in this
minute.
past.
Can I finish?
And then
yeah, right. So yeah, so in the same context, now there are, so if the question is that, so the free will is there. Now, if the person is feeling that, okay, I was the perpetrator in the past life, and now I have kind of experiencing what I am from that other person, is the free will is in a proper direction to leave the marriage? Because what I did, now I am going through it, even though the prior state happened, and in the regression session.
Urvi,
I mean, how do we really know?
Urvi, I can only say that a life sentence has a certain duration. 20 साल का एक लाइफ सेंटेंस है कारावास. 20 साल के बाद वो लाइफ सेंटेंस खत्म हो जाता है ना. And the person is then told that you can move out and live a normal life, right? So there is a duration of suffering. Suffering did not last all your life, right? Am I right, Swamiji?
Yes. See, if you have given 20 units of suffering to somebody, you will have to go through 20 units of suffering. You have to go through. After 20 units, it's over. Correct.
But the choice, the person will have to create. मुझे 20 साल की suffering चाहिए या मुझे 50 साल की suffering चाहिए? Or I want to suffer in my next lifetime also.
Correct.
So that free will, as Swamiji is saying, is there with the person. So I always tell Swamiji people that divorce is not a bad word. Because the time period of your suffering is over and now you can step away. That's all. You're stepping away. That's all. And you're creating a better life. And I always say that two people are suffering. Swamiji, aapne bhi ye kaha hua hai in one of your beautiful things about sin and, the thing about saint and sinner that you have written, that both are suffering. It's not only that the sinner is suffering. The other person also suffers. Swamiji ne bahut sundar likha hua hai. I think somebody had asked a question and Swamiji had answered that question about a man who's having an affair. And Swamiji had written beautifully that even the man who's having an affair is suffering. Don't think he's having a good time. Just go back to the WhatsApp chat and please read what Swamiji has written and you will understand what your question is, what you want the answer for. Urvi, wo padho wapas. बहुत सुंदर स्वामी जी ने लिखा है. Swamiji, do you remember?
I also remember. Yes.
I remember.
So read it again. No, that is very well put by Swamiji. How two people suffer. जो हम कहते हैं ना victim and persecutor, the persecutor is also suffering.
So what
Correct.
is the solution for the
When you
persecutor?
divorce, you both are being helped.
Okay, like that. Mhm.
Ah,
Ma'am,
But
I
see,
wanted-
one thing I have to say,
that's one.
even after divorce, let there no be any negative thought regarding that person,
Yes.
because that becomes your karma again.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
You are entertaining
Swami,
negative
that's-
thought, ill will, hatred, etc. Remember, you are again creating karma, and then
Yes,
again you will
Swami.
have to go through some suffering because of that.
Correct.
I mean,
So let
that's
there
where
be
past
no
life
evil
regression
feeling.
helps. Yes, yes. That's where the past life regression helps, because now you have seen everything, you've experienced, you have done your bit, and now you are taking a conscious choice decision that now this is where I want to
This
end
is
this.
what Swamiji is saying. Conscious decision अगर आपने लिया है, then don't carry the baggage on your back. Drop it. Right? So that requires intellect. That requires
Discrimination. Yes.
discrimination, right? Rahul, you want to
Thank
say
you.
something?
Yeah,
Thank
ma'am, I
you,
was
sir.
only saying that one thing, that like I've not been able to understand the victim persecutor concept, because that cycle, that who was the first victim or who was the first persecutor, because it can't just go back to the previous birth, because if the person who was the persecutor is the victim, and in the previous one it's the persecutor, then in the previous to that birth it will be the other way around. So it's just an endless.
Rahul, in our work, Swamiji, just to say that we will, the suggestion given is go back to the very first time when you were a victim. Maybe this person was not the persecutor then. It could have been somebody else. But you got into the victim cycle. There is always a time when you get into becoming a victim, right? It may not be with X. It may be with Y. Doesn't matter. But you got yourself into victimhood.
But ma'am, if it brings a thing of a communication gap of between two individuals, then that would be the one which will be looking at that relationship between just these two entities.
So you can be a victim in any state. Not having money can make you a victim. Not having love can make you a victim.
So
Not
ma'am,
having sense of loss creates victimhood.
If it was for a relationship, then it's just between two individuals. But if it's working on the victimhood of the person, then we will be probably taking as the first where you started getting this feeling of
So it
victimhood.
depends. What the problem is, Swamiji doesn't. But what the problem is, that will determine the kind of induction process. Huh? Okay, we are going on to a different track, but all that can be asked to me later. So I think we are at the end. We've taken a lot of Swamiji's time, but as usual, Swamiji is always welcoming with questions, and I think that's our fortune. कि हमें इतने अच्छे गुरु मिले हैं जिससे हम अपने मन की बात भी कह सकते हैं, बोल भी सकते हो, पूछ भी सकते हैं. तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात है हमारे लिए. So thank you, Pranam Swamiji. Thank you so much. We'll have our prayer, Swamiji. Prayer, please.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you, everybody, for being present here.
Thank you so much.